Good evening, guys. How are we? I hope you're being good for Mummy. And I hope you're all happy Grandma's back. Grandma had a really long trip. She left Barbados yesterday at lunchtime and she only got back to you guys now. So look, a couple of things for you. Firstly, you all have to make sure that you keep an extra close eye on Tiggy. Okay? Because now that he's crawling so fast, and today he climbed down off Mummy's bed. So look, guys, wherever he is, you guys need to keep an extra close eye on him and help Mummy and Grandma, because we don't want him getting hurt, okay? That's very important. And the second one is it's important that you guys play together. I was very sad yesterday when I heard what was happening. It has to stop. Soraya, you're the oldest. You have to make sure everyone is involved. And if somebody doesn't share, you don't argue, you speak to Mummy, and Mummy will sort it out, either by getting that person to share or throwing their toys in the garbage. Because every toy in that house belongs to everybody, so we share everything. Absolutely everything. We understand? Okay. So tonight, and tomorrow, and Friday, we're going to say 3 stories. We're going to tell a story about each of you. Tonight, or tomorrow, we're going to tell the story of Jeremiah. On Friday, we're going to tell the story of Princess Soraya. And today, we're going to tell the story of Joseph. Now, you might remember, Joseph had a coat of many colours. And the reason I'm telling this is just because his brothers at the time weren't always nice to him. But in the end, they realised that it's their brother. And no matter what happens, you always take care of your brother. So tonight's story is called The Story of Joseph and His Coat of Many Colours. Enjoy. The Story of Joseph. This is the story of a young man called Joseph. His father's name was Jacob, and they lived in Canaan, from where his grandfather was from. Joseph was 17 years old. Now he could actually drive a car. And he had 11 brothers, and only one of his brothers was younger than him. All his brothers were a lot older, which meant they used to tease him a little bit, I think. But teasing isn't nice, because you're all part of one family. Can you imagine having 11 brothers to play with, or to fight with even? Because Joseph was one of the youngest, his father spent more time with him, and Joseph became very special to him. Jacob had a very special robe made for Joseph. They didn't wear jackets back then. It was very beautiful, and it had every colour you could imagine in it. Okay, guys, see if you can name 5 colours. Go. 1. Okay, I'm assuming you guys name 5 colours. Soraya, when I call you later, or tomorrow, you tell me, okay? One day, Joseph had a dream, and he went to tell his brothers. He said, guess what? Last night I had a really strange dream. We were tying up bunches of grain in the field, and suddenly my bunch stood up, while all of yours got around and bowed to me. The brothers looked at each other in disgust, but Joseph continued. Then I had another dream, that the sun, moon, and 11 stars also bowed to me. Who do you think you are? The brother said. Do you think that you're better than us? Do you think that we would ever bow down to you? That made the brothers dislike Joseph just a little. When Joseph told his father about the dreams, he said, those are very strange dreams. But he thought carefully about what Joseph had said to him. When the brothers saw Joseph in the distance, they made a plan to get rid of him. But when Reuben, Joseph's oldest brother, heard this, he said, no, we can't do that. Let's just put him in a well here in the field and we'll teach him a lesson. He said this because he was secretly coming back to rescue Joseph when the other brothers had left. So when Joseph came to them, they took off his beautiful robe and threw him in an empty well. A little while later, a group of people came by that were wanting to sell some things in Egypt. One of the brothers spoke up. "Why don't you sell him to these people? This way we never have to see him again, and we don't have to get rid of him." The other brothers agreed to this, and they sold him to the people who were going to Egypt. Reuben had been working in the field and didn't know what was happening. So when he returned to the well and noticed Joseph was gone, he had been sold to an important man called Potiphar, an assistant to the Pharaoh in Egypt. The rest of the brothers took Joseph's beautiful robe, dipped it in animal blood, and took it back to their father. When the father saw this, he cried, "Some animal has killed my son!" And he cried for many days and many nights, and nobody could comfort him. Now Joseph had started out as a slave, but the Lord was with Joseph, and he helped him to do everything right. So Potiphar made him his helper, and put him in charge of everything he owned. The Lord was still with Joseph in jail. The problem came when Potiphar's wife lied about Joseph to her husband, so Potiphar put Joseph in jail. God stayed with Joseph when he was in jail, and the warden put Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. He never worried because the Lord was with Joseph and helped him do everything right. After Joseph had been in jail for some time, a cupbearer and baker to Pharaoh had been sent there. One night, each of them had a dream. They told their dreams to Joseph, and he told the cupbearer he would soon be let out of jail. "Please tell Pharaoh about me and ask him to get me out of here," said Joseph. When the cupbearer was freed, he forgot about Joseph. So Joseph stayed in jail for 2 more years. However, after Pharaoh had heard about that, he called for him. He said, "Joseph, can you understand dreams?" He says, "I can't, but God helps me." After Pharaoh told him about a dream he had, Joseph said, "God is warning you. There will be 7 years when nothing will grow in you, and there won't be enough food for anybody." Pharaoh believed all that Joseph told him and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. People came from all countries to buy grain from Joseph because the whole world was in need of food, some of whom were Joseph's brothers. When his brothers came, Joseph recognized them, but they didn't recognize him because it was over 10 years since he left. The brothers all bowed to him because he was an important person, just as he dreamed they would at the very beginning. After a few meetings with his brothers, he could not keep it any longer, and he says, "Do you know who I am?" He says, "No, Lord." "Who are you?" "We don't know who you are, sir." He says, "I am Joseph. Is my father alive?" But his brothers couldn't answer because they were afraid. Then Joseph said, "Come here, I'm your brother, the one you sold. Don't worry, and do not be angry at yourselves for selling me, because God has put me here to help people." So his father, his brothers, and their families all came to live in Egypt with Joseph, and they all had all the food they needed. So, I want you all to think, what is the lesson from this? Okay, guys, I'm going to sing you a song now, and it's also a song about Joseph. Okay? Talk to you in a minute. So here we go. I've never sung this before in my life, so I apologize. And I will be looking at the screen. I closed my eyes and drew back the curtain to see for certain what I thought I knew. Far, far away, someone was sleeping and the world was weeping. Any dream will do. I wore my coat with golden lining, bright colors shining, wonderful and new. And in the east, the dawn was breaking, and the world was waking. Any dream will do. A crash of drums, a flash of light, my golden cloak flew out of sight. The colors faded into darkness, I was left alone. But may I return to the beginning? The light was dimming, and the dream is too. The world and I, we are still waiting, still hesitating. Any dream will do. A crash of drums, a flash of light, my golden cloak flew out of sight. The colors faded into darkness, I was left alone. That note was too high. But may I return to the beginning? The light is dimming, and the dream is too. The world and I, we are still waiting, still hesitating. Any dream will do. Any dream, any dream, any dream will do. Any dream, any dream, any dream, any dream will do. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you later. Love you guys.